It's time for Radio on the Air. This is your announcer, Al Gunby, speaking. Radio on the Air Action Adventure Theater presents the classic British thriller, The 39 Steps. Tonight, we bring you a special 90-minute presentation of John Buchan's 1915 novel, The 39 Steps, adapted for radio by Ken Jones. This is Al Gunby speaking for Bulova. Graduation is the event of a lifetime, and for a gift of a lifetime, give your graduate Bulova self-winding watch with 17 jewels and priced at just $49.50. It winds itself automatically. Just set it and forget it. The mere movement of your arm keeps it fully wound.
College was hard for me, but my dad kept telling me I could do it. And when I graduated, he gave me this great Bulova self-winding watch. Thanks, Dad, for believing in me.
And for her graduation, give the stunning Bulova Starlet, so charming. It makes a perfect gift, amazingly priced at only $29.75.
Summer, when I graduated from high school, Mom and Dad gave me this beautiful Bulova Starlet watch. And now this summer, Jimmy and I are engaged to be married.
Each Bulova watch, regardless of price, embodies Bulova precision, beauty, and dependability. So for her, for him, forever. For the warmest thanks you ever received, give the world's finest timepiece, Bulova, gift of time. To choose the perfect gift, just remember this rhyme. When something happy happens, it's Bulova watch time. And now, the 39 Steps.
I was 3 when my father took me out of Scotland, and I'd spent most of my remaining 34 years on the veld in Rhodesia. I hadn't been there 3 months back in the old country, and I was fed up with it. I'd managed to conjure up some pretty exaggerated ideas of London, but quickly enough I decided that the place was as flat as soda water that had been left out in the sun. I was the best bored man in the British Isles. Hannay, I kept telling myself, you have got the wrong ditch. You'd better climb out. I'd give the old country another day to fit me in, and if nothing happened, I'd take the next boat for the Cape. That May evening, I was returning home after dining at my club, and I was just fitting the key into my latch when... What?
Can I speak to you, sir? Begging your pardon.
A very old, bent woman, twice my age, stood there clutching at my sleeve. She was the crone I'd passed many times on the stair and occupied the top floor flat. Well, I opened the door. She dashed past me, and more quickly than I would have thought possible, banging her soiled haversack against everything. She quickly made a search of my room.
Have you locked it, the door?
Why, yes, but I'm afraid...
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, sir. It's a great liberty I be taken with a gentleman such as yourself.
Well, that's no matter. Now, look...
Your bedroom, sir. There's a wash basin. Could I take the liberty, sir, of using the facilities? Begging your pardon, sir.
Well, now, see here. I've only just... She rushed into the bedroom door and closed it behind her. This had been all the wildest sort of surprise, yet there was something in her eyes, perhaps that actually caused me to trust her. In the time it took to get up a pot of tea, she'd completed her ablutions and emerged from the bedroom. Good Lord!
I thought it more suitable that I be myself sooner rather than later.
I should say so. Looking intently at me and completely unrecognizable were the dark, fierce eyes of an elegant, exotic, and quite beautiful young woman. Taking a seat in my smoking chair, she pulled a cheroot from a hidden pocket in her blouse and signaled for me to light it, which I did without hesitation.
Allow me to explain, Mr. Hannay.
She leaned back luxuriously and noticed the cups of tea I'd placed on the low table between us.
Don't suppose you've got Slivovitz, eh? Cognac, perhaps? Hardly the hour for tea.
Sorry. Well, let's see now. How about an 18-year-old Glenfiddich, single malt?
Ah, your whiskey, of course. Fine Fine. Decuyity.
Dumping the tea in the sink, I placed 2 tumblers of whiskey on the table and left the bottle on the desk nearby.
They're all single malt, you know. Your best scotches? Unlike American bourbon, where it is decidedly a rarity.
Well, you're right about that, I must say. Taking my pipe and pouch out, I laid them as well on the table and settled in for a long story.
I am Sofia Pavlovich Zichenyi. You must pardon me. I happen to be dead at the moment.
She looks just then as if whatever she'd been through, it had all but drained the life out of her. What does it feel like, being dead, that is? Clearly, I was dealing with some sort of...
No, I'm not mad, not yet. I've been watching you, and I think you'll do for my purpose.
Come now.
No, Mr. Henne, let me assure you, I am serious. Deadly serious.
Finishing off her whiskey quickly, she held the empty glass out to me. I took it and walked to the desk. Handed it back to her, and she immediately took another deep swallow.
Valavam, I've looked you up. Army Captain, Royal Engineers, 2nd Boer War veteran, Victoria Cross recipient, February 1902, 4 citations for bravery, wounded 3 times in action and always returned to the front, 7 months in a Boer prison. Torture. I am going to confide in you. I need your help, desperately, more than anyone has ever needed it.
Go on, I'll tell you.
I'm Serbian. My work, my life, is espionage.
You're a spy, no less?
I married a Hungarian who died from Prussian tortures during the Magyar migration of 1910. Ever since that time, my mission has been to thwart the mad dreams of the Austro-German Empire. On the 15th of June, something terrible is going to happen. A thing so immense.
It's war, of course.
You know?
Come now, all the Times and the Guardian and all the rest are all full of today is war.
Oh, that. Well, perhaps I should start at the beginning. You see, I am indeed dead.
Really, now?
Yes, it was quite necessary.
I very cautiously sipped my whiskey, and I said nothing.
You see, over the last fortnight, I've been compelled to discontinue the ruse that you witnessed here earlier in order to effect the old woman's, Millie's, demise.
Go on.
Without elaborating, it was quite involved, you see. Let me just say that it has proven sufficiently effective in throwing off the police into the Kensington district that I decided to risk using it one last time, post-mortem, so to say, to approach you just now, there in the hall.
Yes?
Yet even now, I am in the most dreadful danger. I fear I will not live the night through. You see, I have much more fearful enemies than the police.
She paused as if mesmerized, appearing for a moment too terrified to speak. Please continue.
I especially have roused one enemy. For now, he calls himself Carstairs, but I have known him by many names. He is relentless, and he has left such a trail of blood.
Please, miss, please, you must continue.
I know something, you see, of his plans. Much, too much, and yet far from everything.
Yes?
He simply will not allow himself to be stopped.
She reached again into her blouse pocket and pulled out a small black book and became deathly pale as she settled it into her lap.
It is all here, in this book. I tracked him to the Scottish moors to a small village southwest of Dumfries, where he has assumed the guise of a kindly old archaeologist. As yet I am not certain for what purpose, but do not be mistaken, he is far from kindly, and he's young enough. He can move very quickly when he wants. I have seen it. He poses as an old man, but he is not.
Yes, I see. Go on.
Somehow out there on the moors he discovered me. I only escaped him by the sheerest luck. And now I am his. Oh, those terrible eyes! He can hood them in the most menacing way, like a steppe eagle on the attack. And he can act so swiftly as a Caucasus viper.
I was rather skeptical of this wild menagerie of hers, but seeing her condition deteriorate before me, even as she spoke, I quickly went again to the sink. Here, take this glass of water.
Valava. Oh, I do not want to die!
Please, Miss Zachenye, how can I
Your
help?
floor, the broken glass.
Oh, go on. It can wait. Clearly feeling the impact of the liquor now, she suddenly let loose with a lengthy barrage.
This man leads a fearful cabal, a nest of vultures, the terrible, brilliant minds which lurk behind all the thrones of Europe. They are among the wealthiest industrialists and banking interests on the continent, but this fiend is by far the worst of them.
Again, I said nothing.
And I've got everything here in this book. Oh, he's an arch-villain. They are called the Black Stone.
I see. Go on.
This man, this Carstairs who leads them, has conjured a hellish contrivance. He has planned the foulest piece of blackguardism since the Borgias, and the Black Stone is about to use it. They're bent on subjugating all Europe.
I confess, I was quite disturbed by all this, but I had no idea how to respond. I went to the desk for another whiskey, and I offered to refill hers, but she quietly put her hand over her glass and continued.
It will all happen at 10:17 p.m. on the 15th of June. And they must succeed, unless you...
She was looking now directly into my eyes.
The entire British fleet will be helpless. It will be destroyed, all of it.
She then collapsed into a chair, practically unconscious. Why, miss, you're on your last legs. You haven't eaten in days, have you? I lifted her frail body and carried her to the bedroom. The alcohol and the cigar have done you in, Miss Zachenye. Sleep. Sleep is what you need.
They're commemorating the day, the 15th of June, when Wilhelm II ascended to Kaiser. Back in...
As I lay her on the bed, she uttered abruptly...
Oh, they must have a high tide.
With that, she uttered a final deep sigh and fell away finally into a deep sleep. Here's a blanket, miss. You get some sleep now, and in the morning we'll get you some breakfast, hmm?
Oh.
What? What the devil?
Anne!
There, seated on the floor in the corner beneath the open window, lay a dying Sophia Zachenye with a dagger sunk deep in her breast.
Oh, Anne, get out. You will be next. They spared you. An oversight, perhaps, but... Go! Ah! Oh.
Any doubts I'd had about her story were dashed in an instant. I felt sick, and for 5 full minutes I trembled there at the end of the bed before the sprawled body of that poor woman in a fit of horrors. Then, recovering my senses, it slowly began to dawn on me. Hene, you are properly in the soup. Escape. A plan. Sudden panic is a frightful thing, but adrenaline does do its work, and in a matter of minutes, I'd hatched the most preposterous scheme. I quickly threw on my oldest worn mining tweed, beaten pair of strong-nailed boots. Within minutes, I heard what I was waiting for. The milkman was at my door. I grabbed my tattered Hannay tartan cap and I rammed for the door, flinging it open. Aha! And just in time, too!
Blimey, what's the game?
Sorry, old chap, but I've been waiting for you. You simply must do me a great favor.
Favor, sir?
I simply must have your outfit and bottles, just for a few minutes. Here's a quid. There's a man outside, a husband, and my neck's in a noose, unless I'm you.
Blimey, righto. Ain't the man to spoil a bit of sport. Here's the rig, then.
Don't worry. I'll leave them for you there just around the corner. In a moment, I'd stuffed my cap in my pocket and had on his flat blue hat and white overalls over my tweeds. In a flash, I was banging the bottles down the stairs and out the street, doing my best to imitate the milkman's whistle. I caught sight of a fellow in the second-floor window opposite who certainly looked at me hard enough that I almost ran into a policeman.
Oh, see you here, you whistling fool. You're happy enough for trade people, ain't ya? Bit of the gay and frisky in that milk, eh?
I gave the curious policeman a slap-happy nod and quickly rounded the corner. I stashed the outfit and the bottles in a hoard, and then and there I began my new life as a rustic Scot. At St. Pancras Station, my train was pulling out. The guard meant to stop me, but I shunted him aside and I clambered into the last carriage.
The impudence of that guard trying to stop you. He needed a Scotch tongue to put him in his place. Next, he'd be objecting to a gentleman spitting.
I sat down on the bench opposite, somewhat winded, and smiled agreeably at the old man. He was dressed much like myself. Boy, you got that right. Settling in, took out my pipe and poked about for my tobacco. And there, in my pouch, was Sophia Zachenier's little black book. The bedroom, of course, had been quietly ransacked while I slept soundly, so I had assumed up till that moment that her precious book was now in the hands of her enemies.
Ah, jinx. That Portland Place murder property gives me the willies. The papers talk of nothing else.
Oi, you don't say no.
Oh, it says here the killer escaped north to Scotland. He's a Scot of some sort, they say. Well, ain't that a crock? A Scot doing the likes of that deed? Not likely, lad, eh?
Aye, no indeed, not like that.
Ah, blame the poor hard-working Scots, will ya? Jinx. You want the paper? I'm after napping a bit now. You can take it. Go ahead.
Thanks, I will. After overhearing Sophia's delirious mention of Dumfries, I planned my escape route up into the rough country of South Scotland. There, on the familiar moors, I'd at least stand a chance. And the sooner I'm on the track of my enemy, the better, since they were most likely already on mine. But I'd failed to take into account how quickly the police would be onto my Scotch origins and heading themselves the same way.
Arriving Newton Stewart, arriving Newton Stewart. End of the line.
Well, this will be my stop. Good day to you now.
Mine as well. A good day, my lad. Have you seen any conspicuous types leaving the train this morning, station master?
Nah, couldn't I say as I have, officer?
Well, I'll be standing just over there by the door in case. Be sure to keep your eye.
Right, that I will.
I attached myself to the noise and shag of a crowd of day laborers taking a road out of town and left them soon after. Ambling up a winding path to the top of a nearby hill, I seated myself on a rock ledge and surveyed my chances of continuing on foot the next day. At the moment, however, I needed to make it through till morning, well out of sight. A couple of miles distant, I spotted what looked to be an old abandoned barn. It was, and there I spent the night. The day broke bright and clear, with the cold sun on my back, and I was already well along the way to my goal. It was going to be a very long hike to Dumfries. Walking in a roundabout fashion, remembering the police behind me, the long day passed interminably, but uneventfully. And the sun was setting behind the outskirts of town as I descended into a lovely green valley, densely forested along a brisk rolling stream. I rounded a bend, and there, sitting on the stone wall of a bridge, was a portly old fellow, reading aloud to the stream from a worn, tattered book.
The trout in yonder wimpling burn that glides dart, and safe beneath the shady thorn, defies the angler's art. My life was once that careless stream, that wanton trout was I, but love, with unrelenting beam, has scotched my fountains dry.
Hearing me approach and turning round, he greeted me heartily.
Oh, good day, my lad. You found me sermonizing, I'm afraid.
In my worn and well-spent condition, I forgot for the moment to use the brogue. Good day, sir. That would be now spring has clad the grove in green. Robbie Burns, if I'm not mistaken.
Aye, lad, that it would.
Disturb you, sir, in the middle of such a moment, but I wonder, is that an inn on the hill over there?
Aye, lad, that it be. And I be the innkeeper.
Oh, pardon me, sir. I gazed at the man in a state of considerable fatigue. I've had a very long day on the road, and I believe I'd trade my own mother for a soft bed and a meal.
You needn't be doing that, lad. We've beds for certain, and hot bubbling squeak enough, and the best breakfast in the dale.
He closed his book and began struggling down from the wall.
Will we'll just be going up there now.
I would be most grateful. Here, allow me, sir. I'll need to be back out at first light. No time for breakfast, I'm afraid. Well now, with the fire going and all, this is perfect.
Our finest room it be, sir. Looking back on the roads and there, the view over the river. You can lie here the night, snug as in a moss hole.
The sun had just set behind the trees in a brilliantly colored twilight as I looked out the window at the hills beyond the river. I was just getting comfortable, with a touch of the innkeeper's 21-year-old reserve, when I heard distinctly the distant sounds of an aeroplane approaching. Suddenly, my pulse was racing. Off over the hills to the southwest and just cresting to the tree line, a Bristol F-2 biplane was climbing into the heavens, and as surely as if I'd been told, I had no doubt it was looking for me. Well, you are up early, and that breakfast smells far too wonderful to pass up.
You'll be needing it, I'd say, for your long walk.
Indeed, yes. Do you by chance have an atlas or a map of the area here?
In me study upstairs. There, right next door to your room.
I was just getting my bearings and fingering the roads on the well-worn map when I heard a large automobile rolling up the gravel drive.
Innkeeper, open up!
Without bothering to look, I knew for certain that this was Carstairs' man. Stuffing the map into my coat pocket and dropping a pound note on the table, I ran down the back stair, counting on dumb luck. I jumped over the door into the great vehicle's front seat and silently as death looked. And there, next to the ignition switch, was the key. I stuck to the loneliest roads, and eventually the sun began to set over the low, distant hills. Then, cresting a rise, I saw in front of me, just beyond a large, dark hawthorn wood, nothing less than that infernal aeroplane again coming my way. That's when it dawned on me what an ass I'd been to steal this brute of a car, to tie my fate to this beacon from above, out on the broad, flattish moor. Without thinking, I swerved the farm path, taking down a fence post and slamming hard against the stone wall. I ducked into a dense cover of the wood. The path soon merged with a hedge-lined road, and I was just thinking of pulling over to the side when... Egad! A car! Slamming on the brakes, I could only slap through the hedge on my right, slither through it like butter, and once on the other side, I found it before me, a sickening plunge down to the river far below, but was clutched of a sudden branch that lifted me and held me, as a ton or two of expensive metal slipped below me, bucked and pitched, and finally dropped with an almighty crash 50 feet down to the waiting river, into which I watched it slowly disappear. As I scrambled to free myself from the branch, I could hear in the distance a quite pleasant, vaguely familiar voice.
Oh dear, are you hurt?
I was not at all sure what course to take, but found myself on an instant just simply trying to play the fool in my best St. Andrew's prep school patter. No blame, madam. It's just lucky I didn't add homicide to my follies. Well, that's the end of my Scotch Road tour.
Oh, a colonial. South Africa, yes?
I was quite taken aback by this remark, but too dazed, as it happened, to let it show. At once I dropped my schoolboy patter and spoke up. Just returned, you see?
What luck! Not by any chance up on Australian labor conditions, I don't suppose?
I had by now freed myself from the hawthorn and made my way back to the road. And I stood there, smiling rather stupidly at this well-dressed, strikingly attractive young Londoner who had a decidedly unconcerned look on her face. All I was sure of how immensely relieved I was to be suddenly freed from my giant metal encumbrance. Well, as a matter of fact, on that point, too, I'd say you're in luck.
Really? Oh, you look a fright. Here, come sit here beside me. I'm Sarah, and you are...
I moved to share her rock ledge and sat gingerly as I was beginning to feel the pain from a striking variety of bruises. Richard Hannay.
Oh, well, Richard, I must be at the Masonic Hall at 8 o'clock, you see. Cordelia's agent will comb my hair.
Cordelia?
And Mother will don my socks. Oh, I'm in a deuce of a mess, unless you can help me out.
You did say something about Australia.
Oh, yes, that would be grand. You see, it was Angelina's engagement first, but her poor lungs have got her down again, and she's stuck in bed there at her last stop in Lochmaben. So dearest Cordelia, of course, took over immediately and assigned me the job. And of course, then, well, Mother stopped in, and there you have it.
I hadn't the slightest idea what she was talking about. But, recovering my senses, I realized that of the two of us, I was likely to be the one in need of help. Your mother?
Yes, my mother, Eleanora Dunnamede. Oh, I imagine you've heard of us. And in our defense, let me just
Dunnamede? Seraphina Dunnamede, no less?
You know me, then? And you don't despise me?
Despise? Well, no, of course, not at all, but...
But?
Well, what you believe in and the sacrifices you're making on behalf of neglected women and children everywhere, why, this is, of course, quite superb. And your courage in the face of...
But?
Well, your methods are all a bit over the top considering the nature of the causes that...
You're an idiot.
Now, just a minute, young lady.
Have you any idea how many times I've heard this rot?
Quite a few, I should imagine.
Why don't you try prison for a while? And a couple of hunger strikes? Let's just see how you like force feedings. It's torture, damn it.
Well, yes, actually I do see what you mean. Spent a few months myself in a Boer prison back in '01, and torture and all, it certainly was no treat.
Oh, well, I wasn't suggesting that you, So, sorry, but we've no time for this. Now, Dalbeattie is the place not far, actually. This would be a shortcut of sorts. Oh, if you will, if you can, help me out of this pickle. I shall be forever in your debt.
I was back on track immediately, and was thoroughly pleased at the prospect of an escape that did not involve leaving this wood on foot. Australia? Why, I'm a mining engineer, you see. I've spent 11 of the last 12 years in the environs of Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and Perth, and all the rest. And quite likely there are few in these British Isles who have witnessed the labor abuses there in the mines that I have.
Splendid. Angelina has a very genuine interest in Australia, but there wasn't time to get to her and pick up her notes. Oh, let's be on our way then, shall we? We'll take my car. Yours, I'd say, has been done for.
So, I'm afraid you have sitting here in your car the very everyone is seeking for the Portland Place murder.
Is that so? Sorry, it's just, you don't strike me as the sort...
No, I'm quite innocent, of course. The poor dead woman, Miss Zachenye, I knew her for only a few brief hours. I would have never have wanted any harm to come to her, but it isn't just the police who are chasing me down.
That would seem to be enough.
Well, I don't think I'm going to get very far either. There'll be an accident, or shortly after my arrest, there'll be a knife in my ribs. I don't think I should tell you the rest. For your own safety, I suspect that...
Safety? Are you mad? Do you say that to me?
Well, I don't mean... you see, I simply...
Come now, Hannah. Make a breast of it. What are you into? And don't mess about the bush.
Well, then, you may as well hear it all. You see, I'm caught up in a conspiracy. Espionage, actually.
Of course. What else would it be?
And it involves a book of ciphers.
Ciphers? I love ciphers. Do you have them with you?
Well, of course. Slamming the car to a stop, she took a book from my hand and immediately began examining its pages.
Ooh, let's see.
She was like a child with that book. Dalbeattie, nearly 8 o'clock now.
Damn Dalbeattie. So, what it comes down to then is figuring out what these 39 steps are and just what the black stone is about.
Well, that, and staying alive.
You say this woman, Sophia Zachenye, gave you this book?
Yes, and when I began to look through it, I recognized immediately a ciphered code. I spent some time decrypting messages in the war. I've always had a sort of gift for numbers.
As have I. Have you had a chance to get into it yet?
Not really, though last night, working by candlelight, I managed to learn about this place, Dalbeattie. The man who did arrange to have Sophia Zachenye killed has a farm nearby. It's somewhere quite close to an abandoned mill on a stream that drains into that river there, the Water, they call it.
There's only a single word scribbled in the book here on the inside back cover. Carstairs.
That's the man's name. The one who had her killed.
I see. Of course. All right. Well, here's what we must do. After the Masonic Hall in Dalbeattie, we must go to somewhere safe, where I haven't decided yet.
You believe all this, then?
I have it. We'll go tomorrow to Carlisle. I think we can get help from my friend, Dr. Eloise Anglos. She runs the Cumbrian Women's Hospital there.
Help?
Oh, she knows a man in government, very high up, who would seem to be just the person we need to talk to.
Really? Well, that would be something, but are you quite sure you can trust this doctor?
My father knew and admired her long before he'd met my mother. Dr. Anglos and I have worked together for years, and all that time I knew nothing of their relationship. But recently, since my father's death, we've grown quite close, and she's become like an aunt to me.
You do believe me?
Mr. Hannay, Eloise Anglos. Seraphina says you've come on some urgent matter. What may I do for you?
Well, to be blunt about it, sorry. Sarah has told me that you have a friend, a high official in the War Department.
I do.
You see, Sarah and I have come across some information. Some extremely vital information affecting the national security that is very...
Eloise, it's most urgent that Richard share with Sir Walter what he's...
Sir Walter Bullivant is his name, Mr. Hannay.
Of course, Under Secretary for War.
He was a close friend of Sarah's father, and he and I have long been... are close friends as well.
Do you think... can you help us?
Well now, if any of what you've deciphered here in this book can be proven out, then Sir Walter will want to know about it immediately, of course.
A very courageous woman has bet and lost her life on what is in that book, Dr. Anglos.
Carstairs, you say?
That is the name Sophia Zachenye gave me the night she died.
Well, it is something. I'll talk to Sir Walter tonight by telephone. I cannot tell him anything, of course, but I think he'll agree to the meeting you suggest.
I felt an enormous weight lift from me.
In the meantime, try to find out more about the people behind this black stone and just what it is that's threatening to destroy the Royal Navy.
Thanks for driving. These are delicious. Care for a scone?
Not really, thanks. When do we meet with Sir Walter?
Dr. Anglos says that he isn't in England at the moment, but will be returning in 3 days. He's agreed to meet with us at his fishing cottage in Crewe. I've been there a few times myself with my father years ago, and apparently we're free to be there sooner if we wish.
3 days? The 15th is less than a week away now, but I suppose we will need the time to work on the book.
Well, that's true enough. And I'm afraid Cordelia is on me again to go to Lockerbie. She's convinced I can do great things there. No way around it, I'm afraid. They do need me, actually.
Well, I guess I could use the time to try to get a bit closer to Carstairs.
That would be good, if you can. It's about time we at least found out what the man looks like. Then perhaps I should take the book. Well, there should be ample time for me to study it in Lockerbie. They have a fine old library there that just might prove to be of some use.
That's probably wise. Now here, take good care of it. That map again. Okay. According to the book, the old mill is right about here, and that's where we'll meet up tomorrow night.
All right, I'll be there. Hopefully by then we'll both have some answers.
I'll be spending tonight on the moor again, and taking my chances with the police, of course, tomorrow. I'll go ahead and get out of here. It's bracing to get out into the heather again. We'll see you tomorrow. I spent the night on a shelf of the hillside in the lee of a boulder where the heather grew long and soft. It was a cold business, and by morning I was stiff as a board, and for a time I wondered who and where I was. But then I heard the sound of men's voices and was quickly on my feet. Not more than a quarter of a mile down and off and spaced out like a fan were at least a dozen uniformed police beating the heather. I scrambled unseen to the other side of the ridge, and for the next 2 hours, using a very long zigzag course, I circled gradually back to where I'd started, and then working my way through the deep wood by the river, I moved up a tributary that led to the mill. An embattled affair, half its tower and wheel gone, and little space enough to conceal us, should we need it. Then, working from what I'd learned in Sophia's book, I continued up the stream for a distance, where soon an ancient farm opened up before me. I quietly circled round to the other side of the yard and positioned myself in the midst of a copse of dead oak. For another hour I held vigil there, not more than 50 yards off, from under the cover of a dense pile of fallen branches. But I saw nothing move. I hadn't eaten since breakfast in Carlisle, so I took a short break with some of Seraphina's cheese and bannock bread.
Here you are, Nay. I've been looking for you. What have you done with that old Wolsey?
Still half asleep from an unanticipated nap, I looked up, and there, towering over me, stood the driver of that damnable touring car. Slamming his fists together, he glared at me ominously.
Come on, then. Tell me, or I'll thrash it out of you.
Fortunately, this time I recalled my disguise and quickly summoned a panicked Scots brogue. But what in the name God in heaven? Who are you?
Where in the hell's that car and that...
Who you be calling Annie? I be none other than Ned McPherson, not any Annie.
Look here, no matter your game, you're coming with me.
So much for my stalking skills. Somehow, from the very start, by poor luck or whatever it was, the police had always been only a step behind me. All to come to this, knocked by this oaf. He'd properly snookered me out, and I once again felt like an ass. Without further ado, the man kicked me in the direction of an old stone cottage. Quite unexpectedly, I found myself in a pleasant room filled with a familiar scientific paraphernalia, a microscope, an old telescope, and 3 walls of large plaque books. And along the last wall, several glass cases, just as you would see in a museum, filled with a queer assortment of implements, coins, pottery shards, and the like. In the middle of the room, seated at a knee-hole desk piled with papers and open volumes, was a curiously cherubic-looking old fellow, Fezziwig, who peered at me over the wire-rimmed spectacles and seemed thoroughly delighted to see me.
Well, Mr. Richard Hannay. Now, we've been expecting you, of course. At last we meet. This has been a lucky day for you. You'll be pleased to know, I'm sure, that your pursuers have been here and gone. And never fear, lad. I convinced them that you'd cross the hill to the north.
The Dickensian paradox of the scene quite overwhelmed me, and I began to waver in my convictions, but I stuck with my disguise. Annie again. Oh, what's that all about?
Now, Reese is sure that you've secreted our beautiful Wolseley car off in some wood? Well, that's no matter. And I see from your garb and your strange manner that you will insist on fooling us, eh? Well, I've certainly never seen you before, that's a fact. And the papers are full of photographs of the Londoner image that you've so tried to effect. So I suppose there is the possibility of some question. Oh, I can go along with a jest and a good disguise. So tell us, who are you then? And what is it that you do?
I'm a road worker, I am, but I'm a one-eyed wee. I don't want to have a man. And with your old face, that's like a skidder hip, and I already told you, I'm Ned McPherson, not any near Annie.
McPherson, eh? But of course, you can have as many names as you wish. We won't quarrel about a name, will we? I myself have several. But this charade has gone long enough. Let us both shed our disguises now, Mr. Hannay. I'm afraid you know a little too much, Mr. Hannay. No doubt you're anxious to return to your car. Oh, you're a clever enough actor. But no more of this. Reese, put this fellow, whoever he is, in the storeroom until I return from Dumfries. Gently now. You'll be answerable for any damage he should incur along the way. Well, it appears that you've left me with no choice but to use the old Lanchester, Mr. Hannay. Well then, Reese, see that it's out front, ready, as soon as you made our guest comfortable downstairs. Quickly, my errands cannot wait.
I was led down several steps into a high-ceiling, windowless stone chamber, and as the heavy door closed behind me, I began to think wistfully of the police. Surely, a couple of hours to live, the time it would take for Carstairs to travel to and from Dumfries, if I remained there. So I determined to escape.
You have been listening to The 39 Steps, an original radio-on-the-air radio script adapted from John Buchan's classic thriller novel. And this is Al Gunby speaking for Bulova once again. Mother's Day is almost with us, and on her day there is no gift that expresses your loving thoughts so beautifully as a beautiful Bulova watch. A gift that will be treasured and trusted always. Yes, for Mother who deserves the best, your best choice is Bulova. What more heartwarming gift could you give Mother than the Academy Award, brilliantly styled with a charming expansion bracelet and priced at only $57.50. Magnificent in its beauty, its matchless 21 jewel movement assures that it is equally magnificent in performance.
This year, Mother's Day was the same day as our anniversary. 50 years is a long time to be married, or not so long, depending on how you look at it. And Clarence and I decided to exchange Bulova watches, not rings, this time around. I got him the Ambassador, and he got me the Lady Maxim. Now we keep an eye on every hour we have left of our happiness.
So remember Mother with a gift she'll never forget. On Mother's Day, May 10th, give her Bulova. And remember, for any special occasion, give the world's finest timepiece, gift of a lifetime. To choose the perfect gift, just remember this rhyme. When something happy happens, it's Bulova watch time.